All right, let's get to talk about data transmission. Yeah. So on this now, we're going to be splitting data transmission. Okay, basically, when talking about the pattern of data transmission, we're basically talking about the sending of information from point A to point B, right? A wants B to receive some information, and B also wants A to receive some information. That's basically what data transmission is. So we can split this now into different stages or different types based on direction and also based on the part on number of wires. You get the point? On the number of wires that are going to be used. That's why we're going to be having our types of transmission. So let's start by this part. We're going to be having first type called serial transmission. If and only if there is a single wire that is used to transmit information between A and B. We don't care about the direction, but we have A and B communicating but using only a single wire. We don't care if it's going to be only to A to B only, or the direction is only from B to A only, or what directions, we don't care. But as long as there's a single wire that is used, that's going to be called serial transmission. It's easy to remember this because S for serial, S for single, so it's SS. Serial, single wire. You get the point? Then number two, we have what is called parallel transmission. Parallel transmission is parallel. We have many L's, which means we're talking about many wires. You get the point? You can just treat every L like a wire. So we're saying that when we talk about the part of parallel transmission, A and B are communicating, but they are using multiple wires. You get the point? Again, we don't care here about the direction. Either A is going to be sending whilst B is listening, or they're going to be sending in both ways. We don't care. Parallel transmission just means that we are sending using many or multiple wires. Do you get the point? So from there, you can quickly denote some differences between these two, and hence some advantages again between these two. This is using a single wire, which means it's going to be coming through as cheap. Right? It's cheap since one wire is going to be used. Again, we're saying that one wire is going to be used here, which means at the very end of the day, all information is going to be flowing in one single wire, right? Again, we're going to be seeing now as a drawback that if all information is moving in a single wire, then it's going to be coming through as a slow form of communication. You get the point? But on the other side, this is going to be coming through to be faster. But there is a penalty for that now. It's going to be coming through as a little bit expensive because buying the wires is going to be coming through to be adding an extra cost. You get the point? So this one is cheap but slow. Fast but expensive. You get the point? That's basically what we have as far as the advantages and drawbacks as far as this side is concerned. When you want to talk about, okay, there are actually quite a number of advantages and differences between these two guys. You can always go ahead and actually find those, but basically you have the general idea. We're now talking about the part of the split based on direction. We're going to be starting through with the part of simplex transmission. When we talk about simplex transmission, this is when A can only send to B. We don't care about the number of wires here. Either there are multiple wires or it's a single wire. It's called simplex. Why? Because there is no room for feedback. You get the point? Information only flow in one direction only. A can only send to B, but B cannot respond, which means there's no feedback in this type of communication. We're saying that information flows in one direction only. We don't care about the number of wires. It's just the flow of information, yeah? Then the next part now that we have is going to be coming through to be called half duplex. It's half duplex like this. Half duplex is when A can send to B like this. B can also send to A, but not at the same time. You get the point? Both directions, but not at the same time. So we're saying that information can flow in both directions. Yes. Yes. In both directions, but not. Information can flow in both directions, but not at the same time. You get the point? Information is flowing in both directions, but not at the same time. We can talk about example. I bet you have seen about walkie-talkies before, right? Walkie-talkies, you cannot both talk at the same time. You can send information whilst the other party is receiving. So A can send to B whilst B is listening. Then when B wants to respond, A has to stop sending so that B can also send. You get the point? An example now of simplex transmission, we can talk about the part of TV broadcasts. TV or radio broadcasts. You cannot respond to the news that you are hearing over the TV. It's only coming through from the broadcaster to you as the receiver. You get the point? So we're talking about the part of half duplex now. We are saying that A can send to B and B can also send to A, but not at the same time. This is the key part, not at the same time. So we want to send now in both directions at the same time. We will now move on to talk about what is called full duplex. That's number 3 now. It can actually be called full duplex or just duplex. So I'll put full in brackets because it's not compulsory. So it's full duplex or just duplex transmission. Duplex transmission like this. Right? So here we are saying that A can send to B, but even at the same time. B can also send to A, I mean to say, these guys, they can communicate at the same time. So information can flow in both directions, even at the same time. That's the key note. So info can flow in both directions. That's the first part. In both directions, even at the same time. Right? This is seen whenever I talk about the part of my telephone calls. Telephone calls or even my phone calls. You get the point? Phone calls. Information is flowing in both directions, in both directions, even at the same time. That's how it's differing from what? From half duplex. Half duplex is both directions, but not at the same time. Here is both directions, even at the same time. That's what's happening here. Take note now. We can even have these now being joined together now, whereby we can say transmission is said to be simplex, serial simplex. One direction only using one wire. We can even parallel simplex. Parallel simplex. You get the point? One direction only, but using multiple wires. So just know that these two guys, they can actually be joined together to form a single type of transmission that you're going to be having. Why? Because this one is just talking about the number of wires, and this one is talking about the part of the direction. I hope you have mastered this part. So this is going to be my first video as far as data transmission is concerned. Go through it, master it, and then if you have any questions, please reach out to me. The next thing that you're going to be doing as far as data transmission is concerned is the part on packet switching. Right? We will talk about the packet itself. So we'll talk about this in the next video, but rather this is the introduction, and I hope you have mastered it. If you have any question, please touch base with me, then we can actually discuss it. Yeah.